Welcome to the Midnight Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Easton Bennett, alongside my fellow co-host, Tyler and Easton. We are both entrepreneurs who are learning, growing, and building our own businesses, and our goal is to share our experience and knowledge to help you grow and become a successful entrepreneur. Strap in. Before we get started, if you have any questions or things you'd like us to cover, you can email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. If you'd like to join our business Discord, where we talk about wins, business problems, or general questions, shoot us a message and we will get you in there. Tyler, how's it going? Episode 39.
39 it is. It's going pretty good, man. How are you doing?
Not too bad. My house is like 1,000,000 degrees right now. But other than that, today was a good day.
You actually getting hot weather there in the good old Minot, North Dakota?
Yep, we're officially at 85 degrees right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
it's actually really hot there.
Yeah, she's warm.
It's crazy.
I get into my truck and it's like 97 inside the truck. It's crazy.
Oh, wow. You got leather seats in there?
Yep, black leather. So that'll do it.
That's always nice in the summer.
Yep. But sometimes I like to just sit in there and just feel it, you know?
You like to feel the burn?
Yeah, it just makes me feel like, you know, I don't know, but I just like sit there, no music, just let it just burn my skin off.
I'm alive.
Exactly. Tyler, what is new with you? What's going on over in Canada?
Yeah, so one thing that the topic that we're actually going to be talking about once we get into it is starting up. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of the startup tasks for Nuevo. New Frame. And I am using Asana actually quite well compared to the first time I tried using it personally. So main reason I wanted to do it is just to make sure I'm managing everything. And at the same time, I chose it because I'm familiar with it. And you're also using it so we can also branch ideas off of each other and help each other out. So figured I would use Asana, started using it. So that's good. Filed for a sole proprietorship also. So that's cool. Been working on getting a bank account, but when I applied, it's like, nah, you got to schedule an appointment. I'm like, come on, I just want to do it online. I don't want to have to go into the store or into the bank. So that kind of sucked. But yeah, just a few updates with New Frame. So getting started.
That's so annoying when I love doing everything as digital as possible. So when I was trying to do the same exact thing for TSA pre-check, I have with one of my credit cards, I have a free TSA pre-check coverage. So I wanted to just do that online, and then it says, no, you have to schedule an appointment. Well, the nearest appointment is Bismarck, which is an hour and a half away. So then I have to make a whole plan for this and still haven't gotten around to doing it. But I was like, gosh, just let me do it online, man.
Right. Yeah, it's just so much easier. It's like you'd think I don't know what the error is, but it's just not letting me do it. I'm kind of, come on, man. Gotta go into the bank. But no, that stuff sounds good. Getting going, getting rocking with New Frame. How's the website going? Yeah, I'm pretty much done. I would say I just need pictures now. I got a lot of stock pictures in there right now, and I do want to get some of me in there, one for sure, but quite a few pictures that I do want to get in there eventually. And then I actually made a thank you page, so whenever they fill out a contact form, it'll bring them to a thank you page. I created a calendar for my very first calendar that people can book for me. So that was pretty exciting. So whenever they fill out a contact form, it'll bring them to that thank you page, and then they can fill out a little meet with me. So that was cool. Website's coming along, and it's definitely been a hurdle and an excuse as to why I can't start, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So yeah, what's going on with you?
It's good to hear on your website, first of all. I know that was a thing that was a long time coming, so it's good to hear that you've got the pieces in place for that, and then you can start moving on to the next tasks, which we'll talk about down the road. As far as an update on my end goes, Bismarck client, we had our first shoot with all of the clients that I'll be working with in Bismarck, and planning to shoot the rest of them here the rest of the year, so that's going well. I was actually there this morning dropping off some footage. I also had one of the weirdest phone calls I've ever had in my life. It was from a gentleman calling about a video project, different area code than North Dakota, sounded really weird, told me his name like 6 times on the phone, and I don't know. It felt like a scam call. I kept feeling like, those Instagram messages you get that's like, put a slideshow together for my wedding and I will send you $200. It felt like one of those, but over the phone. So it ended up not being it. It was just a really old guy looking for a project, which is cool. He wants he wants me to put together 3 ideas at $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. So that's kind of crazy. Who knows if he has the bandwidth to go through with that, but I mean, I'll put them together. And if he gives me the thumbs up for one of them, then awesome. And then
very weird call. What does he do? What's the business?
He's a lawyer, but it's for some, something with oil wells, and he wants to restore them or clean up the abandoned ones. I don't know. I didn't get very much info from the call because he was, you know how old people are when they talk. It's like they talk in a circle and they throw you random information that's not necessary. So it was all over the map. I recorded it on Zoom just so I could at least listen back to it and try to decipher what he's looking for. But yeah, I have to put that together and then get that to him at the end of next week.
Cool.
And then, sorry, go ahead. Did you have anything?
No, I don't. No, not really. Just continue going.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. And then the last thing, a little personal content bump. I know we've talked about this previously, but the day we're filming this, which is about 5-6 days ago, maybe when you're listening to this, first YouTube video went out. So that's been going well. YouTube video this morning on how we batch shoot content for clients and my personal self.
Van video.
That'll be in 2 weeks, not next week, but the week after. So the van video will be out in 2 weeks. And then, I guess next week when you're listening to this, but getting the personal content going and started batch recording content again for Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn and Twitter and all those places. Got the employee schedule and all that stuff. So that's been going well, but it's good to get back on the train of getting the personal content rolling.
So is he going to end up replying to any messages, DMs, comments, or is that going to be you?
It'll be mainly me just because he doesn't have access to all of my accounts. Like my Instagram account, I didn't want him logging into on his phone. So he just takes my phone and schedules everything on there.
See, this is why I think you should be posting it on your Bennett Creative Media account, because you're posting your video type projects on your personal accounts. So that's all I'm going to say.
Well, which video projects?
The one you just posted.
The YouTube video?
I don't know. Or I don't know what was the reel you just posted today? Did you just post a reel today?
Yeah, it was a snippet from a YouTube video.
Oh, yeah. I saw like the start of it. It was like, oh, we just posted. Is that what it was? We just posted. I saw like the first like 20 seconds of it on TikTok.
Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, the TikTok is a little bit different. I let in with a little bit of an intro and then it went into a snippet of the YouTube video. But yeah, I mean, the business page will be mainly for finished projects and behind the scenes and that kind of stuff. But I wanted to get this personal content rocking and rolling, get that process down, which will be good because I've implemented a way to get everything done quickly for the month. Like I said in that video, we just shoot all the vertical content, 12 pieces. He schedules them all. And then the YouTube videos, we're just going to be doing one a week for now. So if I can film those and get those edited in the first week-ish of every month, then the rest of the month I can work on the business page, on posting client videos, behind the scenes, breakdowns, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, getting this process rolling has been good. And then we'll move into some more tasks that he can tackle here in the next week or so.
So are you still editing the shorts and then he's just scheduling them out?
Yep. So he's pretty much scripting right now and scheduling. He doesn't have the editing skills to do that, which doesn't take a terrible amount of time. I mean, it's just chopping up the pieces and then color grading it and then throwing some captions on it. But might move that over to the editor that is doing my client work right now. But I have a certain way that I liking my personal content to look, where it's not crazy flashy. It's just the titles and then, words get colored in here and there. But that's not something that he couldn't tackle. So if I give him a good brief on what I'm looking for, I'm sure he could take that over too.
Fair enough. How are they performing so far?
Could be better, but I think in the beginning it's just consistency posting it, and then eventually the algorithm starts
momentum.
Yeah, algorithm starts kick in, and then it's just finding that one that pops off.
Gaining any followers from them or any much engagement outside of your following?
I haven't even looked because I've only posted. Today was only the second day of them being scheduled, so it's only been 2 videos. So I'll let you check back in next week when it's 5. and then we'll
All
go
right,
from there.
sounds good. Yeah, I've gained a few followers from doing the day one, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I always
It
feel
usually
that.
hits the algorithm. Like the like to view impression ratio is really good. It just doesn't get pushed very far. So
Yeah, and
that's
I
what I've
always
noticed.
I always feel that when I post, I'll gain a few followers, like 5 to 10 followers, and then 2 days later
Dang, that's a lot.
I drop back down to 5 to 10 over like a week span, and then like a week after that, it'll drop back to the number that I had or even less. So it's really weird. Like I'm like, oh, I'm gaining momentum. And then I'll look and it's like, you're back where you were literally 7 months ago. So I don't know. It's super weird, but I'll be interested to see how it plays out.
I will say that the YouTube Shorts for me have performed much better, and I've gained quite a bit of subs from there. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I'm going to be posting on YouTube Shorts as well. Just some of them, YouTube's only 60 seconds, which kind of sucks because some of my videos are a little bit long-winded. But I'll be posting on the YouTube Shorts as well, same schedule, and then rock and roll with that.
I just looked at a few of my comments. One says, bro is living only day one. And the other one says, bro found a bug.
Found a bug.
Bug in the system.
Honestly, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's going well. And the next coming weeks, we can update each other on how our social content is performing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's beneficial to share that information, any takeaways that we get from it. So
Cool.
Right now, Shorts is performing better.
Yeah. And that's where it's usually Shorts, Instagram, TikTok in that order for me. So
Okay.
we'll see if that changes in the future.
Yeah, usually TikTok does pop off, but I think just doing like the consistent same thing, like you're not building, like for me especially, I'm not building a community with it. Like it's not very personable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lot of what TikTok is. It's not very personable. So if I did shift, it would need to be like a little bit more personable to actually engage with the people on TikTok and actually have it hit the algorithm.
Yeah, it's weird because TikTok, you almost have to have a completely entirely different strategy for TikTok where you're creating pieces of content strictly for it. So, yeah,
Definitely.
But let's not get too in depth on posting on socials because we did an episode on that. So if you want to watch that, go find it. Tyler, this week's news story, Montana is the first state to ban TikTok. How crazy of a world that we're living in. So I guess we are going to talk about social platforms a little more.
That's true. Yeah, I thought they've already banned it, but I just know maybe it was just like talks of it, and now it's actually gone through. And the one article I was reading, the girl, she just, it puts a lot of hindrance on it because like her whole business was on TikTok. And that's what happens when you don't control your audience and you don't control your audience, basically. I don't think
Community.
There's another word
There
for
you
it.
go.
So yeah, community. So that's a big reason why you need to be able to control them and have access to them, because if say Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, something like this just happens, it gets shut off, you have no access to them. So that's a big reason why people say you got to collect emails, because then you own that.
And that's another reason I have this weird hate of people that are like, you should focus on one platform and grow there. It's like, okay, until you do that and something like this happens. And this is a prime example of if you're focusing on TikTok and only posting on TikTok and living there, and then something shuts off. Okay, now what do you do? Now you have to go grow an audience on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is. So even if you're minimally on different platforms, it is beneficial because if something like this does happen, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's what they say, right?
Yeah. I wonder if people are going to get some VPN or change their IP address so they can still get on TikTok or some shit like that. And I'm sure they're going to try and find workarounds. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know how it works. So if you're just in the city or state limits, you just can't download it, or
man, tracking. They got tracking, man. Like look at me with sports betting. I can't bet right now because they know my location.
That's true.
So when I went to Florida, I'm like, oh, I'm getting my fix in, and that was during the Super Bowl, and I put a whole bunch of bets on. And then when I was in North Dakota, I did a few best ball drafts. So I was just getting in while I could, because I knew when I came back to Ontario, they're like, nah, you can't do that.
I suppose, yeah, they can do it based on location. So yeah, if you can get a VPN or something, you could probably work around the whole location issue. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, hopefully North Dakota doesn't do that, but good thing I don't have a huge following on TikTok.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, because like you always see people that are on, say, TikTok alone, and they've built this massive following, and then they try to start pushing people to their other platforms, like follow me on Instagram, follow me on YouTube, follow me here, and then it's trying to build it out. Because if something like this does ever happen, you're just kind of screwed, because if you only have audience on TikTok, how are you gonna get it back? But I think this just comes back to oh man, I don't like social media. Like all of social media platforms are bad. I don't think Chinese government, I don't know, I think that's conspiracy. Like I think the US government's tracking and monitoring us like nonstop too. It's just a privacy and control issue, and US wants to keep it all within them, not let other countries control that data and information.
Yeah, the U.S. government wants to take your data, not the Chinese government.
Exactly.
So, really, honestly,
Right?
I don't fucking trust any government in the whole world. So, people can take my shit all they want. Just don't take away what I like. And if you do, then whatever. I'll find something else. Yeah,
I want to be free.
Yeah, pretty much. They already got all my shit anyways, so whatever.
Exactly.
All right, Tyler, you got anything else on Montana? The lovely state?
Man, when I drove through it, it was at nighttime, and I didn't get to see Montana, so that's kind of upsetting. But no, I don't have anything else on Montana.
Good looking state, but not many TikTok users anymore.
No, there's not.
All right, so let's get into this week's topic. We're going to be talking about getting your business started, kind of just our stories when we started our multiple different ventures, and maybe some tips, some tricks, some things that you need to know, some things that you need to look out for. And we're just going to dive into all the intricacies of starting your business. So, Tyler, I'm not exactly sure where you want to start with this. Maybe I'll throw it over to you. Do you have a certain point that you want to lead off this conversation with?
Yeah, I think when you're starting a business, it can be really overwhelming, and you can look at it and it can be this whole massive thing. And then it's like, okay, I don't even know where to start. And it's just making it as simple as possible, bringing it down into small, baby, actionable steps that you can take to start the business. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. It's just choose one thing and then attack it. And then I from what I've heard, you only need 3 things in order to have a business. And the 3 things are a business account, so like a bank or something to store your money, and then a payment processor, so like Square, PayPal, something like that. And then like the business formation, so like LLC, sole proprietor, whatever it is. So I think that's all you need. And I know in the past, I've struggled with this because I've always wanted to have a website, because I feel like I'm not official without a website. So I put these hurdles on it when I don't actually need a website. So I wanted to do videography, and one of the videographers that second shoots with me, he does really well for himself, and he doesn't even have a website. And I wanted to do videography, but I'm like, I got to have a website first. And I'm like, he doesn't even have a website, and he does really good for himself. So it's like, do I really need a website? So I would try and eliminate as much as possible. If you are struggling to actually get started, just eliminate as much as possible and just focus on the bare minimum of what you need to get started, and then take those baby steps to continue progressing forward.
Yeah, there are a ton of businesses when I'm looking at prospecting and reaching out to businesses that literally only have a Facebook page. They don't have a website. You can't go to their website, contact them, which still kind of baffles me in 2023 that you don't have a website. But I mean, it works for some people. Not saying that going the direction with no website is something I'd recommend, but it can be done for sure. And especially in the beginning, you can rock and roll with no website. The one question I wanted to ask you, Tyler, so I don't know how it works in Canada, but you can be at a very bare minimum level in the US for running a business and just have a DBA. So it'd be Easton Bennett doing business as ABC company, whatever it is. So literally the only thing you need for a business is a DBA at the bare minimum level in North Dakota. I'll say, I don't know about the whole US, but North Dakota for sure. I can start taking payments, cash payments, check payments, as long as I sign up for a $25 DBA, doing business as. And obviously that goes into your personal bank account, and then you have to figure that out on your own accounting side. But yeah, I mean, that's literally the bare minimum of what you actually need in North Dakota.
Yeah, that brings up a lot of extra confusion that might make it a little bit more confusing later on, because everything's just cash. Unless, I don't know, would you just say would you just be like, I don't make any money, I just made $0 this year or something like that?
If I'm getting cash, hell yeah.
Yeah, do some fraudulent shit like that. But man, I didn't know about that. For me, it's just like, it seems a lot easier to have like if you are staying local, sure, you can do that. And especially like if you are just starting out, but I think getting that DBA or just getting whatever that, whatever it is, an entity, and then that should be like one of your first steps, because that's just a good, like, that just gets the ball rolling.
Oh, 100%. I 100% agree that you should come up with some sort of entity and split them up, because one, even though it's possible to do business as literally just a DBA, doing business as, New Frame Digital or Bennett Creative Media, I don't recommend it, because one, you can be sued for everything you own, your house, your cars, your bank accounts, whatever it is. And two, like you said, the tracking side and getting the accounting for expenses and all of that is just so much easier when you have a separate business bank account. And to get a separate business bank account, you have to file some sort of business document. Whereas when I first had my business, I just opened another personal checking and nicknamed it my business account. So that's a possibility. You could just go to your own, if you decide to go the route of just doing a DBA or whatever it is, at least go to the bank and open another checking account, which shouldn't cost you anything, and then just nickname it. You should be able to change the name if you have online banking, change it to whatever the business name is, and start depositing checks into that account. And you can even get a debit card for that account. So it separates it a little bit, but it's hard if you're doing expenses and income, everything into just your regular everyday checking account. That gets a little bit hairy.
Yeah, that's one reason why I did want to get this business account, like one of many. But one of the reasons why I did want to get it is so I could have this business credit card and business debit card, because I do have some payments that I am paying for, like my domain and website and all that shit. So it's like, I want to connect it to that so I can at least make it so it's just all connected with the bank account. It makes it a lot easier in the future, just so I don't have to separate it and figure all the receipts out and everything. So that's one of the reasons why I did want to do that. But it's interesting that you say that with the bank accounts in America, because I do know the system within America, where in Canada you usually have to pay for a bank account unless you're above a certain amount. But it's similar in America too, but the amounts are very different. So the one account that I have currently, it's like you have to have a minimum of $100. And then the one account in Canada, you have to have a minimum of $3,000 if you don't want to get charged. I'm like, fuck.
So they charge you per month.
Different. If you have under $3,000, yeah. Yeah,
that's wild. Because I used to have one bank account where you had to add $50 in it. But now all my bank accounts, they don't charge me. So yeah, that's very interesting. And it depends on the bank. You can go looking at different banks. Some banks do it. Some banks don't. Some banks have more. Some have less. So look into that. But yeah, $3,000, dude, that's a little absurd.
For your business bank account, do you have like a minimum or maximum amount of transactions that you can have with your bank account? And do you have a monthly recurring fee for that bank account? And do you have a minimum that you need in the account?
There's no minimum you need in the account. There is a maximum number of transactions, which I think is, I don't think I'd ever hit it. I want to say it's over 100. So if there was some sort of, e-commerce where you're making a bunch of sales, that could get in there. But there is, I want to say there's a maximum transaction limit. I've never hit it, but there is something that I've ran to is a rolling 30-day deposit limit. So what I do when I cash a check, if I get it from a client, is I do it on my phone, just take a picture of it. Don't have to go into the bank, right? That digital thing we were talking about. And I love doing that. I love just cashing on my phone, but you can only deposit a maximum of $10,000 into a bank account over a 30-day period through your phone. So sometimes if I'm near that number, I don't track if I'm close to that number. So I just put it in there. And if it says declined, then I understand that's why. And I'll have to actually go into the bank and say, just cash this for me. So that kind of sucks. I've talked to them about upping that, but they said it's kind of just an automated trigger that if you're doing it a bunch of different times, it'll automatically do it. But I don't know. I feel like I've hit that enough times where it should just give me more flexibility to deposit more on my phone. But I don't know. Maybe they're thinking something, there's some sort of scam, something. I don't know. So I don't have a huge issue going into the bank, but yeah, I've ran into that a couple times.
Yeah, the bank account that I'm trying to set up, I believe it's either I don't think it's free, but if it's not free, it's $5 per month, and I get a maximum of 5 transactions per month. So I'm like, shit. So so if I use like a payment processor, I was going to sign up for PayPal, but it wouldn't let me because my address is Canadian, my phone number is American, and it's like, this doesn't match up. And I'm like, oh, motherfucker. So then I went to Square, signed up through Square. So maybe I'll just use Square as my payment processor. I don't know if you just use checks. Do you have any recommendations there?
Yeah, I mean, I try to avoid using payment processors mainly because I don't want to pay a credit card fee. Especially on like if I'm billing someone a $3,000 project, 2 to 3% might not look like a lot if you're selling $25 shirts or whatever it is. But when you have $2,000 to $3,000, that 2% is a bigger fee. I mean, now I'm not complaining about it. It's not like a huge fee, but I just use when I do send online invoices directly through QuickBooks, and QuickBooks tracks all of my expenses anyways. And really, I don't even offer an online payment unless clients request it. So at the bottom of all my invoices, it just says checks can be sent to this address or wiring information below. And then it has all the wiring details. And then I've only had one client request, can we pay this online? They wanted to pay it with a credit card. I don't know why. Maybe they didn't have money, or maybe they just wanted some points. I don't know. But yeah, I just went in QuickBooks, drafted up a quick invoice, sent it over to them. And then I think that was about $1,500. And it took, I don't know, $30 to $40 in fees. So, I mean, you lose $30 to $40, but if it's $30 to $40 to save the ease of the client, not having to send a check, then whatever. But I don't want to offer it all the time.
Fair. Yeah, got to collect those points. Always got to capitalize on that. That's a huge purchase to collect points on. So,
oh yeah,
if you do get like say 5%, then $3,000 purchase, man. I just did 3% at $3,000. That's $90. So they'd be getting over $100 for that purchase. So
yeah,
that expense.
And that's where
I take advantage.
I tried to take this probably a month or so ago, and I tried to figure out a workaround to pay my mortgage and my car payments and everything with a credit card so I could get those points. And I never found a way to do it without the fees through these different tricks costing more down in the long run. So I'm not doing that, but I try to pay with my credit card as much as possible, man.
Yeah, I do. That same with me, but I don't have my business card yet, but my personal credit card, I basically use that as a debit card. So yeah. I always wonder, I'm like, how do banks and processors make money? And it's like those people that don't know how to manage their money. It's like, you got to be smart with your money. So that's one tip.
It can get a little bit hairy if you're just like swipe, 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 tap, tap, chip, tap, chip, tap. Yeah, it's a little bit.
I was hearing someone told me they didn't even have like a cap. I don't know if that's true or not, but they're like, yeah, I didn't even really have a limit, and I just racked up way too much. And I'm like, how is that even legal for like credit card companies to even do that? It's just like they thrive off people that just go so far in debt. It's like, insane, man. Yeah,
I have 2 credit cards right now that don't have a limit on them.
Really?
A personal one and a business one. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's deadly.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can be.
If you're not good with money, man, that's bad.
Yeah, because the course that right now it's $2,000 a month, and I put that on my credit card every month. It's awesome because you get all the points for that. You know what I mean? But when I got the card, they were just like, yeah, there's no set spending limit. We kind of just adjust it as you spend. Like, okay, well, let's have fun with this.
You should find a really big property, say like a couple million, and then sell it for like a couple 100,000, make a quick profit, pay it off, get those points, and then you get the couple $100,000 profit. New business model. Let's go.
New business model. Let's go. I'm down with that.
We got no spending them. Let's capitalize.
Yeah, and then we can.
Do you ever hear about that though?
I don't think so.
Like people that I don't know what it's called, where they will look for real estate typically, and it's more like commercial or something that's bigger, where they'll pay like $10 million for it, and then there's like a 90-day closing period or something like that, and then within that 90 days they end up selling it, so they never actually pay the money. They just buy it on paper, and then they find a seller, and then they collect the profits.
Well, I've seen people, doing that with properties, and they already have the seller lined up. So then they're just a middleman negotiator and say, I'll take this for 3. And then you got a guy over here that's willing to pay 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there you go. Arbitrage.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get it.
Yeah. I mean, if I had $10 million to do that, I'd try it, but
hey man, if we look at the minimum payment that you have to pay off, you can survive off those $50 per month.
That's actually, that's very true. Yeah. Or even if you have to pay, $10 million and you got to pay 10 grand, 2 months worth of payments, whatever it is, it's probably more than that, but so you can pay 10 grand to sell it for $1 million profit. It's not a bad idea either.
Right. It's just a little bit of a risk.
Exactly. You can't get anywhere without taking risks.
Exactly. It's all about risk.
Another thing, so I want to touch on this just quickly. So we're not going to go super in depth on the entities that you can have to set up your business, but we've talked about a DBA, which is a doing business as, sole proprietorship, which pretty much means there's one owner, one person in it. LLC is more so of an organization that is protected by itself. So Bennett Creative Media is set up as an LLC, whereas if I dropped a light on someone's head and it killed them and someone came back to sue me, all those people can take is the equipment that the business owns and the money that's in my bank account. They couldn't come after my personal house, my personal vehicles, my personal bank accounts. So that's where an LLC is nice, because it protects it. It's completely separate from your personal bank accounts and all of your assets. S Corp and C Corp, I don't even know a ton about them. The only thing I know is that my LLC is taxed as an S Corp, basically so I can be an employee of my company. So don't really know the intricacies of that. You can look it up, talk to an accountant, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure S Corp and C Corp are for if you have a bunch of employees. Gets a little bit trickier and you can't just have a regular LLC. But yeah, I mean, look into that on your own time, but those are the main 5 areas you can go into as far as entities.
Yeah. I've always said LLC is like the best, but I'm not like the good tax guy, accounting, whatever, that knows everything about it. But basically all I really learned in school is that LLC is basically a sole proprietor plus something else. What was the other one that is it a partnership or no, probably not a partnership, but it's basically all the benefits of a sole proprietorship and then maybe like an S Corp or something. And then just basically protects you and your personal, because sole proprietor, they can go after your personal shit.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
That's in the beginning, it's totally fine to have that, but eventually down the road, if you're making a bunch of money and your business is starting to own a bunch of stuff and then you start to own a bunch of stuff, it's better to just pay the small fee compared to, if something bad did happen, having to pay all of that money and then living in a box. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't want to be living in a box.
Exactly. Tyler, let's talk about some of our personal stories of startups. You want to go first? We can talk about New Frame, Nuevo.
Yeah. So one thing that I thought about earlier, and I was like, I might as well just save it for now, is putting everything in front of you starting a business, and it taking away like adding up excuses why you can't start a business. And a question that I'll get to you is, when I was coming up with New Frame, I spent days trying to come up with a name for the business, and that's just another piece that delays the process and you getting started. And I don't know about you for Plug Hockey or Bennett Creative Media, how long it took you to come up with those names. But for me, I just know when I was trying to come up with New Frame, that took forever. And that's just a hindrance in the process of getting started in business. So I don't know how long it took you to create your business names or come up with it.
I think there's a gray area. I think you know, it might have taken you a little bit longer than average, and it took me shorter than average, because Plug Hockey, it didn't take me long at all. I knew the business name right away, just because it was a running joke, a thing that you'd always say. If you call someone a plug, it means
Plug your jibs.
Not quite, but if you call someone a plug, it means say. Well, yeah, and really what we're going for is that, you know, it kind of means you suck. So really, that's kind of what we were playing on. So that didn't take long at all to decide, throw hockey behind it, and then company. So we had that, and then Bennett Creative Media. I wish I would have thought about it a little bit more. I now having it for 5 years, I wish my name wasn't in it, because it's going to make it harder to sell down the road if that's an option, or if that's something that I want to do. But it's not horrible. I mean, creative media, I didn't want to use productions or video, whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, maybe went a little bit quick with that. I wanted my name in it, just to get that recognition, you know, in the beginning. But now that it's grown and it's established, I wish it was a little bit something different, so it wasn't directly tied to me. But you know, if there has to be a rebrand down the road, I can. But yeah, I mean, I wish I would have taken just a little bit longer.
So a few things. Maybe what you could do is just start branding yourself as BCM instead of Bennett Creative Media. And it's just BCM.
Well, I want to switch it to an exclusive on here is 1625 Studios. Why 1625? I don't know. I just like those numbers together. I like how they look together. So that's what I want to switch it to. I already have like a logo kind of mocked up for it, but the whole entire rebranding process would be something that I would want to do correct. And I just don't have time to do that. Don't have time to do that right now. So, that maybe 2024 is probably when that'll happen. Maybe even 2025. I'm not in any rush to do so. But before 2028, let's say.
So are you pretty set on selling your business?
No, not at all. I mean, I just don't want that to be a factor if that's something that comes along down the road where that's going to hurt me having my name in it. So, I mean, I'd like to get it out there, and I think having your name in it also makes clients think that you're going to be working directly with them through the whole entire process, whereas 5, 6, 7 years down the road, that might not be the case. Whereas I might be answering and communicating with the client, but I might not be shooting it or editing it or even being on set for that matter. So that's just things I'm looking forward into the future for the next couple of years. That's going to be the case anyways. I'm going to be on set, so there shouldn't be any issues, but it is a thought I've had moving forward.
It makes me think of Neil Patel's business, NP Digital. So Neil Patel, NP Digital, because his is very similar, but he basically stuck with it, and he got to the point where he's an industry professional. He's an industry thought leader. So maybe eventually, if you don't end up selling it, you do keep it at Bennett Creative Media, and you're just a thought leader, and everyone in videography is getting started in videography and wanting to build their brand, they come to you for advice. Because I feel like in marketing, Neil Patel is like one of those names like every marketer pretty much knows.
Yeah, and that's something where I've also thought about switching to 1625 Studios. That's just a DBA. So Bennett Creative Media is still the parent company, and then 1625 Studios is the actual production side, and maybe there's other branches that are doing other things, whereas, you know, EB Digital can be its own, maybe it's a personal branding side, whatever it might be, and just having 1625 Studios take over the production side of things, and then just have Bennett Creative Media redirect to that site. So I don't know, a lot to think about as far as that goes, but I'm in no rush to get anything accomplished on that front.
Do you think there was any benefit or downfall to picking your name extremely fast like he did?
Yeah, I mean, just having the name in it, I don't know if I'd want the name in it anymore. Plus 3 words, I feel like it could be a little bit shorter. Bennett Creative Media, it just feels long. And I've realized that a lot of the clients that have worked with me understand it. Maybe the ones that are just naive and don't care have messed it up before, where they call it just Bennett Creative or Bennett Media or Bennett Photography, which partially I just think, yeah, I know, right? Partially I just think they just don't care enough to get it right, which is naive of them, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, if it was something a little bit easier, it might be better for that. I guess I don't know.
No, I was just asking because of getting the process in you getting the business started, because like you're not getting caught up on a name, whereas for me, I definitely did, because the process for me getting started and launching my business took a lot longer than some other people might, because I got caught up on all these other processes and stuff that other people might not get caught up on.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to take too long where it's like, okay, now it's hindering how much I can actually get done, and now the process is getting put back and I can't even get the work going. So don't take too long, but I mean, it's still something you want to think about. I think the reason I picked it so fast is because I heard one time someone said, Google didn't mean anything before they picked the word Google, but I'm sure there was a lot of thought process that went into the word Google for a search engine. I don't know what it was, but that person was saying that your name doesn't really matter, which to an extent it might not, but it's still good to think about. Just don't think about it so long that you're hurting yourself and getting stuff done.
Did you hear the story about Nike and how they came up with their name?
I have not.
They were basically going back and forth and nonstop, and everyone wanted this, wanted that, and they had a whole bunch of names. And Phil Knight, the creator of Nike, he really didn't like Nike, and he wanted something else. And they had, I think it was, they were talking with a manufacturer or something. They're like, hey, we need to know your name. There's this due date and we need to know the name by then. And he didn't want to go with Nike, and there was like 2 names left, and everyone's like, you got to go Nike, you got to go Nike. And he said this one guy, like one of the close partners, he's like, I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know if it was, he woke up in the middle of the night and he came up with the name Nike, or he woke up in the middle of the night and he's like, Nike's the choice. And he told him, and then when it was coming down to the choice, and he's like, okay, we got to decide right now. And he ended up going with Nike, obviously, but he didn't want to go with Nike the whole time. So it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's wild that a company like that and that big and that prestigious just is like, whatever, we're going with this name. So yeah, I mean, that just goes to show name doesn't really matter. Amazon, for Christ's sakes, that's a freaking river in South America. Like, who cares about Amazon, right? Google, what does Google mean? So, I mean, I don't think your name matters to a certain extent, but it's still good to think about it a little bit so you don't have to hate it on the daily basis. Not saying I hate mine, but if I would have had Woobly Wobbly Productions, just because it's the first thing I thought of, I'd probably be like, okay, this is stupid. So think about it a little bit, but not too much. Find that gray area. What about you, Tyler? How about your names? What about Nuevo?
Yeah, so Nuevo honestly didn't really take too long. That was a little bit faster. I think we rushed it a little bit. We're like, okay, we got to pick a name, and then we were just writing stuff down. And then at the time, I was always saying like bueno and no bueno. I was saying no bueno a lot, and then I was like, what if we just rearrange the letters in bueno, and we came up with Nuevo? And I was like, all right, sweet, I like it.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty cool name. It's new, it's unique, and I feel like it's like short. And
I honestly didn't even know if I knew that that's what the origin story of it was.
Yeah, I feel like not a lot of people do, other than Riley and Stefan.
Mate, there you go. Make a piece of content on that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically how it came to fruition, where we were just let's pick a name. Let's go. And then I was just like, how about Nuevo? And then I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Let's go with it.
Yeah, so and that's where, it goes back to, you don't want to hinder yourself and take too much time on a name, because then it's like you just go back and forth and back and forth, and that's when you get in this just vortex of shit.
Yeah, just a giant black hole where you're just getting stuck on stuff that doesn't really matter in the long term. So it's just a name, like you said, and it truly does. I'm trying to think of like Toyota. Like, how do you even think of that? I was trying to think of like a really long name that's like kind of stupid.
Yeah, Aston Martin. It's literally a person, I think.
I don't want to say it, but Berkshire Hathaway. I don't know why it's called Berkshire Hathaway.
I think it's two people.
It sounds prestigious.
I think it's got to be
Warren Buffett. It's Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. So I don't know how or why it would be two people. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I don't want to say Berkshire Hathaway, but because like the empire that they've built and like how smart Warren and Charlie Munger truly are. But it's just like those types of names like doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so this says the name itself comes from two Massachusetts textile firms, Berkshire Fine Spinning Associates and Hathaway Manufacturing Company, which merged in the 1950s. Huh. Who would have thought?
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, cool.
Well, look at them. Look at them go.
Good for them. Yeah, so they turned a stupid name into one of the biggest companies ever, so don't worry about your name too much. So a couple more things just to tack on here before we move on to the business idea. Some things that I wish I would have known when I started my business is to make sure I think we've talked about this in a previous episode too, but make sure you're tracking things as much as humanly possible, your incoming expenses. If you're tracking, it doesn't even have to be daily, just weekly, whatever it is. Make 2 simple spreadsheets, track the income that's coming in, maybe put a note of who it came from or where it came from, and then your expenses. You don't have to put notes on that, like, oh, I filled up with gas, whatever. But just track those 2 different things. So at the end of the year, you have something to actually look back on, analyze, give to your accountant, whatever it might be. Just start. I wish I would have implemented that a little bit sooner. I use QuickBooks for it. You can also track your mileage on there because you get a discount for mileage. Tracking this might be a little bit harder if it's a retail company because, if you have 1,500 sales in 1 year, whatever it is, it's going to be a lot of expenses, and then you're not going to want to go in there, oh, Joe Schmo bought this thing on this date. But at least have a general idea of your income and expenses. That's the one thing that I wish I would have known at the beginning.
Yeah, and I would just say the few things, basically what you're saying is start as early as possible. And that's one thing that I do want to say is like habits and discipline is when you are starting as soon as possible, that those habits and disciplines will keep snowballing down. And then when you are 5 years in, you'll already have all those habits and disciplines built. And then everything's just going to be second nature to you just because you've already done it consistently over time. And that's just what you've done. So it's just building all those good habits and disciplines as early as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to work through that shit. Nothing's going to be perfect in the beginning, but the earlier you start trying these things and working through all the kinks, that's when it's going to lend you to new opportunities and be able to actually do things on efficient processes rather than implementing these later and then you have to figure it out and you're just wasting time. So yeah, start this stuff as early as possible.
I don't know if I've ever asked you this or we talked about this on a podcast. Did you file your businesses yourself? Like, did you go online and file like your DBA or LLCs yourself?
Yeah, the first one, my uncle helped me, which it's pretty easy in North Dakota. There's, you just go to the firststop.nd.org, whatever the website is, and you can print off the documents and send them in, or now you can do it digital. So the first one, my uncle printed them off. I filled them out and we sent them in. And then the second one, for my LLC for Bennett Creative Media, I just did it myself. Went online, filled out the articles of organization, paid all the fees and everything online, and then they just got back to me within a week. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple in North Dakota. I don't know where it is in other locations or how difficult it is, but it's pretty easy to do on your own. I wouldn't hire someone to do it. You can go pay a lawyer or an accountant to do it, but it's going to cost you unnecessary money. Just literally search a YouTube video of how to do it in your state or wherever you're at, and it's way easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I did it in Colorado. It was extremely easy. Did it in like 5-10 minutes. And then I also did it here the other day for a sole proprietor. And that was also pretty easy. I didn't even use YouTube. I just searched create a sole proprietor in Ontario and then just went to a few websites and did that extremely easily. You just had to create an account. You're all set. And yeah, so I would say it's a lot easier than people might make it out to be and think it's like a big old undertaking. It's not as tough as you really think it is.
Yeah, it's super simple. So that's my advice for the episode. Don't pay anyone to do it. Just go do it yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I would just say simplify everything as much as possible. If you are wanting to get into business and start up, just simplify it as much as possible. Don't put stuff in front of you getting started. Say like with a website. For me, I always thought I needed a website. And just because I had a website up and launched doesn't mean people are going to start buying from me. So don't let something like a website or social media channels, something like that, get in the way of you starting.
Yeah, get started early because like I said before, there are going to be things you have to work through. The earlier you can do that, the better. So Tyler, let's go into this week's business idea. pod box is what I'm calling it. And mainly it's just the biggest gripe I've had because I have 3 podcasts that I'm a part of. And it is the biggest bitch in the world to have to move all this shit, set it all up, set it in the same spot over and over and over. And I wish there was, I don't know, I'm thinking it's going to be a case, but the case would be big where I could open it up and the audio recorder,
like fold out tent.
kind of. So you open it up and on top is this soundboard. So this one I got right here. And we have the soundboard that's just on top. Okay. And that's ready to go and do whatever. Maybe you have a screen that's built into the top side that you can plug your camera into and watch it. And then under, if you lift up the little platform that the recorder's on, you got 3 slots for your cameras. You got a slot for your memory cards. You got a slot for, 2 lights, whatever it is. And then on the back side, you either have a couple sleeves to hold some tripods and maybe some soft boxes, whatever it is. But having this case, I'm thinking like the size of my Dana Dolly case, maybe even a little bit bigger. I got a longer flat one, a little bit smaller than this table. And then throw some wheels and a handle on this fucking sucker. And you can do a podcast anywhere. Because man, is it the most annoying thing ever to pack up a light, move it into the next room. Okay, now I have to pack up the audio recorder, try to hang on to these podcast mic arms, do that. So if this product came where it's like podcast in a box, pod box, you order it, costs you $2,000, everything you want in there, you put your own 3 cameras in there. Oh, I'd buy it so fast.
So is it just the box? Is it like a fold out or do you have to clean it up every time? So how's that work?
I think it's like a case. It'd be like a camera case, but it's specifically designed to take your podcast wherever. So right now we're filming this podcast. If I could open up this box, which this audio recorder right here would be inside of the box, I could lift up the lid, take off the top portion, the top layer, which would be the audio recorder. Under that, set my 3 cameras in here that are in the room, set those in the case, set my lenses in there. Okay. And then right next to that, I'll set all my lighting. Maybe I got 2 lights, break those down, set my lights in there, my cables on the side, put the audio recorder back on top, close the lid. Okay. And now I set it upright, take my 3 tripods, slide them in the back slots, take my soft boxes, slide those in the back slots. And then, maybe there's another space for the actual podcast mics in the case. And then you just pull the handle up and you wheel it to whatever place you need to go. If it's a room over or if it's a freaking studio that's 7 miles away.
So you got to tear down and set up every time. Are you fine with doing that?
I think the teardown would be quick. Like I want it to be designed, the inside of the box, to not have to tear. Maybe even have like the area where the cameras or the lenses stay on the camera. You know what I mean? And then you can stick the microphones in there. How this arm would be tough. This arm, because it's so long and freaking sucks. So you'd have to come up with some dynamic arm that works good. Maybe it's just one of those ones that sit like this and then they go up like this, like the black ones that are just on the table. But yeah, I mean, ideally, if you could keep everything kind of set up and in the case that you could just pull out, plop down, plug everything in, that'd be a perfect world. But man, is it annoying having to take 7 different trips to move all this podcast shit.
Yeah. I think you just need a couple more mics, a couple more cameras, a couple more lights, a couple more soundboards. You're set.
That's true. If I just had everything set up. See, if I could just keep all this equipment in one room and just have 6 of everything, that'd be awesome. But it's not always the case.
Hey, your credit card doesn't have a limit.
Yeah, it's true. It's freaking start swiping that sucker. But yeah, that's Podbox. Got really frustrated setting up this podcast and thought that'd be a good idea.
Love it. It's not too bad. I feel like if there's a way to make it where it just like pops up and it's like a pop-up tent type of deal. That's what I was thinking. Like when you first started talking about it, like, is it a pop-up tent?
Yeah.
But it's like a pop-up box for podcast.
Plug it in
and then
like,
all of a sudden you're in a room.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a blow-up tent.
So cool. Tyler, anything else on business startup and Podbox?
No, I think that's everything.
Cool. All right. That's episode 39 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. If you have any questions you'd like us to cover or answer, you can email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. If you found value in this content or found this entertaining, share this with a friend or post it on your story. If you really enjoyed the show, we'd love a rating and a review on wherever you're listening. Talk to you guys next week for another episode of The Midnight Entrepreneur.
If you work on something a little bit every day, you end up with something that is massive. Kenneth Goldsmith.